I met our next speaker through an introduction from John Gibson, who's a Barnabas Group partner here in Orange County. And he called me up about 9 months ago and said, yeah, you got, or maybe more than that, and said, you have to read this book called Saving My Assassin. You won't put it down. And he was right. It's an incredible book of a story of this woman, and she's going to get up and share her life story, early life, with you in Romania. And it is a page turner. Today you'll have an opportunity to even buy the book. But she's going to come up and kind of skim through a lot of details. I heard her present yesterday, and it was fascinating. But the book even goes deeper. So you're in for a treat when you see what you know. It will make you appreciate Veterans Day and the freedoms that we have. So Virginia Prodan, would you please come up and tell us about Saving My Assassin?
I should be dead, but God had other plans. I spent my entire life searching for the truth. That search led to a life of intimidation and possibly even death. I was beaten, tortured. My family was threatened. All for defending Christ and standing up to an evil communist regime. My life led to a moment when I met him, a towering, armed assassin. It was then that I felt the divine call to share Christ with the very man who was sent to kill me. It is my pleasure to be with you this morning. I'm going to talk with you about how powerful my God is and what he is capable to do in one life. And as I am a mother, I am a woman and a lawyer, a very dangerous combination. By the end of my speech, I'm going to give you an assignment. It's not from me, it's from Almighty God. I came tomorrow night. I will celebrate 30 years in the United States of America. When I came to the United States of America, I had with me my family, my husband, and 2 daughters under 10 years old, and a soon-to-be-born son. Soon after we arrived to America, my husband left us, and I found myself in a foreign country. Now, knowing 1 word in English, I knew 5 languages, but not 1 word in English, raising 3 children as a single mom. I mastered the English as soon as possible, not as soon as my children. And soon after that, I applied to law school at SMU Law School in Dallas, Texas. And in 3 years, I graduated, or what normal people graduate in 4 years, with 2 degrees, a Juris Doctor and a Master of Laws. Meanwhile, I raised my 3 children as a single mom with God's help, and my oldest daughter graduated from SMU, my second daughter graduated from Harvard Law School, and my son graduated from United States Air Force Academy. This is America, and this is God. I also want to say it because if you buy my book, which is in the back, you, like everyone else, will say, I couldn't put it down. I believe that Jim said that. Everyone, if you look at reviews, you will hear that. Why I emphasize this? Because I want you to remember that I came to this country with not knowing one word in English. And in a few years, I wrote a book that everybody said I couldn't put it down. I wrote the book on my knees. I wrote the book asking the Lord, begging, we don't have to, but I did, to help me to write the book. So His Holy Spirit helped me doing that. And I already have a question for you. Where in your life you said, I cannot do it, I have limits, I can't speak English very well, and so forth, or whatever you want to say it, give it to the Lord, and you will see amazing things that He is able to do it. You had seen the Tyndale presentation, and it's true, I should be dead, buried in an unmarked grave in Romania. By the grace of God, I am alive. I was born in socialist communist Romania, the country that I call a land of lies and a prison land. I watched my parents from a younger age being very politically correct outside of the house, doing everything that the government wanted them to do. But I watched them and I heard them inside of the house whispering about what the government is doing to them every single day, taking their freedom no matter how obedient they were. And as a child, I was terrified. I imagined that if something happened to me, nobody will take care of me. No government, and not my parents. I want you to take a moment and think inside of yourself. Think about how you act today and how your kids and your grandkids are watching you. Are you an example of following Christ, doing and being strong and courageous for Him, or they are terrified about their future? So as I was terrified about what's going to happen with me, I still look for answers. I still look to find out how you find freedom, how you talk freedom. So I noticed that at our family reunions every single year, our relatives have had a tendency to group among at least 2-3 people. So I did my search. Those 2-3 people were lawyers. So I said to myself, I found the answer. I'm going to go to law school, I'm going to find the truth, and I'm going to speak for the truth, even though my relatives' lawyer were not speaking, but I was hopeful for that. So here I was ready to go to law school in Romania. I do not have time to explain all the details, but in socialist and communist country, you don't go to law school like in a free country. You pick and choose, you apply, and so forth. In order to apply for law school in socialist communist Romania, I learned later on that the government, in order to let you to take the exam, the government had to approve your political file. Your political file meant that the government had a file on you from the time that you were born to the time that you died, without you having an opportunity to see what is in that file and also to correct if something was put there by mistake. The 3 questions that the government looked for were the following. If my parents were ever revolted or organized something against the communists, if my parents were reported by their children for saying something against the communist government inside the home, or if my parents were Christians. So, I passed the test. I took 3 days exams, and I passed that test, and I was accepted in law school. For 4 years, I learned very, very well. And I studied all those books, believing and thinking that in those books, I'm going to find the truth, and I'm going to speak up for the truth. After graduation, I had a job. It's more complicated than you can imagine. The book explains in detail how the communists sets up a system for you where you will be placed. It's not like in America, you pick and choose, or you apply to different law firms or so forth. No, it's very, very different. So here I am, working as a lawyer, and every single day full of enthusiasm and hope, thinking everything that I learned from those law books. I graduated in top 10% of my class. So I felt like I did my job. I know the notion, everything. Now I'm going to actually touch the truth. And after years and years and years, trying every single day to find the truth, I came one day to my law office. I put my briefcase on my secretary's desk, and I said, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I cannot find the truth. She looked at me very nonchalant, like, welcome to reality. Where have you been? So she gave me 3 files, and she said, you have 3 clients coming, and one is in your office. And I took the file, I walk in my office, in my mind, thinking, where is the truth? Why I cannot find the truth? And as I was walking in the office, I recognized the client. He was a very good client. I have been working with him for a very long time, almost a year long and everything. He was very nice, very kind, but he had something. And I have to tell you several times during this year, I was thinking, one day I have to take the time to fix this man. He's crazy. In a land of hopelessness and misery and everything, he was full of hope, full of joy and confidence. But I always had other clients coming after. So here I am coming into the office in my brain, where is the truth? Why I can find the truth? And again, I'm in front of this man full of joy and full of peace. And he puts documents on my desk and everything, and all of a sudden I hear myself saying, I want to have in my life what you have in your life. He said, do you go to church? And I stared at him thinking, I am so sorry I asked. I did not see any connection, anything. So he wrote something and gave it to me and said, would you like to come to church next Sunday? I don't have time to tell you that I will say that I said yes, but you will find out in the book that was the craziest thing that a lawyer can say to a client. Yes, I go somewhere, but I don't know where. The government can arrest me, can take my license and so forth, but I go. And guess what? The next Sunday, I was in his church. And I have to tell you, I will never forget, I was walking in his church, and it was totally different than any church that I have been before, maybe one time at Christmas, and I heard the choir singing, "Sinner, Come Home." And as I was walking, I'm thinking, this is a safe place. There is a man coming this day back to the church as a family, and they have a welcome party for him. I had no idea what sinner was, what ceremony they had or so forth. I didn't know who Christ was, anything. So here I am, sitting in the chair, and the pastor came, opened the Bible and said, Jesus' words, I am the truth, the way, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through me. In that huge church and quiet, you imagine somebody saying, what? That was me. Somebody put the Bible on my lap, showed it to me, and I got glued to the pastor. I accepted Christ that day. And also I accepted the divine call. I understood that Christ allowed me to go to law school so I can defend Christians and human rights cases. And from that day on, I didn't have to look for clients. They came to me. I have to tell you that that day my life was changed forever. I'm a child of God, but my life was changed forever in Romania because I didn't know before. I found out later on when the government found out that I was a Christian and I took cases, that in their mind, the government mind, when you are student at law school and a lawyer later, you are the elite of the society. You live in a special place, which it's true, I live in a special place, very close to the American Embassy in Bucharest. You have a salary, you have lots of benefits, but they said there is a reason why you have this, because we control your life as a government. And the reason is that you as a lawyer, you have to protect the government against its people. So in the interrogation room, I told them I never heard about this in law school, and that's the reason I became a lawyer. I defended all kind of cases, from sharing the Bible to churches and people put in jail for speaking up for the government. I found myself being arrested and interrogated every single day. And I found myself that the words in the Bible are so truth in each of our lives if we want to apply. As I was full of blood, beaten by the secret police, trying to convince me to stop defending Christians, the Lord shared with me that what the Bible says, it's in the words, but can become our actions, to love your enemies. And I do remember looking at them, strong, powerful men, ready to kill in order to have a better position in the government and so forth. As I was looking at them and saying, I don't like what you're doing, but God loves you and I love you too. They had to turn their heads because they were crying. Christ's love reaches everyone, and God is using us for his glory no matter what. Lots of people say, you have a great platform, Virginia, and it's true. I speak in many cases, in many places. But let me tell you something. My platform started in the interrogation room. And I want you to think, where is the most painful place that you have been or God is placing you where nobody knows? Or you are full of blood or tears or pain? That is your platform. God will make amazing things. Don't disregard those moments. Don't disregard the treasure of your action during this time. So I continue to defend Christians. The government put me under house arrest. I was arrested, beaten, tortured. They did whatever they considered that was important for them. They didn't want anyone to follow my example. So in my life, and I'm sure it's in your life too, but I want to emphasize this. In my life, anytime God gave me an assignment, first of all, anytime he gave me an assignment, my reaction was like this: I can't do it, Lord. I cannot do it. And I see his face shining back to me saying, but I can do it through you. That's all he needs. But he also, when he gives you an assignment, he equips you with everything, and he also elevates you to another assignment, more dangerous than the one that you have it before. So I received a very dangerous assignment. I told God that if I take it, the government has the right to kill me because they will consider me a spy. But I said, I will take it. So the night before I was ready to go outside and do my assignment, I create a double pocket in my suit, and I put the documents there. And I knew that they will arrest me, they will interrogate, and they will search me. They did that every day, so I did it. But I trusted God that if He said that, my life is in His hands. And they arrested me, they searched me, but they forgot. They forgot to search me. They arrested, but they forgot to search me. So I was able later on in afternoon to give the documents to the American Embassy. And around maybe 11 or 12 o'clock in night, I heard from Voice of America that President Reagan had those documents on his desk. That was very, very fast. So you can imagine that, first of all, Ronald Reagan was very upset, and he wanted to take the most favored nation status from Romania because it was given to the dictator with the attachment that the human and religious rights will be respected. But that document proved that even now he will not respect that. So President Reagan decided they will take the most favored nation status from the dictator. You can imagine that he was not happy because all the money that he received from the government, he didn't use for Romania, he used to build his palace. He later on never had a chance to live in. And he was not very happy. So as unhappy as he was, he created a plan. And he created a plan very well organized, believing that he had everything, every detail. So he sent a client to my office to kill me. And he came later on when everybody was gone. My secretary left for that day. And the minute that he came to my office, he pulled his jacket and took his gun and pointed to my face. He said, "I'm not your client. I'm here to kill you." And in details, he explained how he's going to kill me. And I heard my heart in my ears, my stomach. I was able to see my life in a second, my face. I was convinced that I'm going to die. It was so much noise inside and outside of me as he was screaming and saying how he's going to kill me and everything. And still I heard the voice of God, share the gospel. And I did. I look at him as a man in need of Christ and in need of freedom. So I recited Bible verses to him. And as I recited Bible verses, the gospel to him, I watched these 6'10" men, huge, melting under God's word. And as I look at him, I'm thinking, when I finish, he's going to kill me. And I lost my thoughts. And I started to say my own words. And after 2 sentences, I became so afraid, because the moment that I started my own words, he came back to the man, ready to kill and everything. So I prayed, and the Lord brought the Bible back to my mind, and he accepted Christ right there, right in front of me. My killer left my law office as a brother and a free man indeed. And not only that, only God can do that. Years after that, when I started to write the book, he came and asked permission to write a chapter in my book. And you have not only my perspective of that day, but his perspective. Not only what God has done in my life, but also what God has done in his life. This is our God, and this is what he is able to do it. Very few years ago, I went back to Romania with the biggest channel in Dallas, and they did a story there. And I want to share a few things about. those stories. One is that we film a lot in the courtroom and what happened during the time that I was there in Romania. And some of my friends came to friends and not friends, judges and prosecutors came to see and everything. And one of them said, if you have any time at all, we would love for you to come and see us. So one day, the man in charge with everything on Channel 8 said, this is a time, you have free time, you can meet with your friends. So I called them, I ran to the rotunda at the courthouse to meet them. They were there. As I was walking, they were smiling, and in my mind, as I was walking towards them, I'm saying, oh boy, they're gonna tell me they have houses, they married, they have kids, and so forth. I was wrong. Each one of them took me to their office and showed me that they have a Bible on their desk. They said, we wanted to kill you when you were in front of us because you put us in danger too, not only your life, but us. But after the revolution came, we ran to your church, we heard the gospel, and we are lawyers and judges for Christ. Your life does not belong to you. Your life will reach people that God has in mind to reach. That's the reason why we are here. And I went after that and I saw several churches, and it was absolutely amazing just to see the churches that I fought for to remain. Now they were extended and they have Bible studies and things like here in America. It was absolutely amazing. And all the way back to the hotel, I'm thinking, oh, I have to stop and buy some gifts for my kids because I'm coming from Romania, so they need to have some gifts. So the first thing that I do, I cross the street and I go to the bookstore. And I go to the bookstore, but with the mind of Virginia in Romania. So I open the door and I expect what happened, what was in Romanian communist Romania. Every single store, every single bookstore, every single library, including yours, supposed to have dictators' books, nothing else, not even classics. And here I am running into the bookstore, open the door, and half of the bookstore, it's full of Bibles. And I walked just one more step, and I knelt down there. And I said, Lord, it's so overwhelming. Why are you showing me this? And he said, because Virginia, I changed a country through you. And now your mission is different, to go and tell the world what I can do in one life. Today, my mission is to tell the world about what he's capable of. People from all over the world, China, Japan, South Africa, will say, I accepted Christ. I read your book, I accepted Christ. Students at Georgetown University, United States Air Force, will say, I accepted Christ. I was invited there everywhere. Or people will say, my life will never be the same. What you taught me in this book. What you taught me in this book. What I am asking you is, this is a mission. I have done my part to write it. I have done my part to speak it. I invite you to be part of this. I cannot tell you how many young people said, I received your book from my aunt or my uncle for birthday or for Christmas gift, and I accepted Christ, or my life will never be the same. I had kids that bought books for their teachers, and they said, this is a book, let's discuss. And only one person at college, one professor, still had questions. The other one said, it's amazing. Yes, we do not want to build a society without Christ. So what I invited you today is this. Go back to your home, and or even here, pray about and see if you want to be part of this mission. If you want to share with the young generation, you heard a lot of groups talking about the fact that young generation are turning their back to God. I am telling you, wherever I go to young people, they turn back to God. So whatever you think that is your mission, think about and believe that what God can do in your life, it's absolutely amazing. All I wanted to do is to find the truth and speak the truth. Look what God has done, and He is not through with me. He has an amazing job. Every person has a job here. Just because I have a microphone does not make me having a higher job than yours. Each one of you are important for us and for Christ and America. God bless you, and thank you for listening.
Quite a story, and I can tell you the book is even better. So pick up a copy. It's Christmas, great gift.